Rupert Murdoch launches his battle for satellite television.
We're seeing deregulation, multiplicity of choice to people and to advertisers all over Europe, and it's time it happened here in Britain.
Good evening. Britain's most powerful newspaper tycoon is promising to introduce at least 3 new satellite television channels by early next year. He says he'll do it quicker and cheaper than any of his competitors. People will be able to receive pictures direct from a new satellite with a dish that'll cost them £200. I'll be asking Rupert Murdoch how far down market he'll have to take his new satellite programmes in order to make them pay. But we begin tonight with the second proposal this week from a media mogul to reshape British television. Mr. Rupert Murdoch has unveiled plans to provide 3 new satellite channels from early next year. Viewers will be able to receive the programmes on their existing sets using a new low-cost dish. Mr. Murdoch was giving viewers and broadcasters a new glimpse of the fast-approaching free-for-all competition for the airwaves. And Mrs. Thatcher gave a warning that she would use legislation to enforce broadcasting standards if self-regulation failed. Addressing an audience of journalists and broadcasters today, she said, "We simply must protect our young people from some of the violence and pornography that they would otherwise see." Mr. Murdoch's move follows yesterday's announcement by his media rival Robert Maxwell of his plans to expand into satellite television, and it signals further growth in Mr. Murdoch's already vast media empire. Mr. Murdoch's media interests cover the globe and are estimated to generate sales of well over £2 billion. In Britain, they include The Times and The Sunday Times, The Sun, News of the World, Today, the satellite television company's Sky Channel, Elle magazine, and stakes in publishers William Collins and Pearson, which owns Penguin Books and the Financial Times. In America, there's 20th Century Fox, the film company, Fox Broadcasting, which makes television programs, a string of television stations, magazines and newspapers, including the Boston Herald and publishers Harper and Row. Most of the newspapers sold in Australia are Murdoch-controlled, as are the Fiji Times and the South China Morning Post. And now he's expanding his interest in satellite television. Well, Wesley Kerr reports now on what Mr. Murdoch today called the dawning of a new age of freedom for viewing and freedom for advertising.
Puffs of smoke heralded the latest expansion in Rupert Murdoch's global empire, 4 satellite channels beaming pictures primarily to Britain. His Sky Channel should be the first of a bewildering array of new networks with diverse technology on offer to the public from numerous media conglomerates.
I'm happy to announce today that Sky will be leasing 4 transponders on this magnificent...
Murdoch hopes to steal a march on competitors by beaming his mix, including features, news and sport, just before Christmas to satellite dishes specially built by entrepreneur Alan Sugar's Amstrad.
I'm very confident in the programming that Mr. Murdoch is going to put on these 4 channels, and I'm also very confident that if the British consumer can see that it's good programming, they will go out and spend another £200 so that they can see it, in the same way as they went out and spent over £200 when they bought their VCR recorders.
In boardrooms, advertisers and their advisors like Charles Johnshaw, who also advises government departments on broadcasting, see ventures like Murdoch's as part of a new technological age.
This is the first time that a really major and credible media figure has announced that a service will be launched which falls outside the UK, if you like, regulatory jurisdiction. So this is not any of the IBA-controlled or BBC-controlled channels. This is not like the BSB satellite venture, the British Satellite Broadcasting venture, if you like, sponsored or authorized by the British government. This is a satellite which will beam down from abroad that will be outside the control of the British regulatory authorities, and which, because of the credibility of Rupert Murdoch as a businessman, as a media entrepreneur, is very likely to be a serious business venture.
Satellite stockists have been waiting for a much-heralded sales boom for years, but it hasn't happened. Only an estimated 15,000 dishes have been bought in Britain. So why is that takeoff now possible? The existing low-powered satellites like Intelsat have had limited take-up because they need a large dish to receive the relatively weak signal from space. They cost about £1,000 to buy, and the 6-foot dish needs planning permission too. The new generation of satellites like the Luxembourg-based Astra, from which Rupert Murdoch is leasing his channels, will be medium-powered. Robert Maxwell's channels may use similar technology. A dish will cost around £200 and measure only 2 feet across. High-powered satellites like those which the IBA-sponsored British Satellite Broadcasting Group will use from next year will have a £200 dish measuring only 1 foot across. Some analysts think Mr. Murdoch may have a commercial edge by being first.
The reason his service is likely to be successful, where other past projects haven't been, is that he's picked the most straightforward, fastest way of reaching people. He's picked a low-technology solution so that people can get his satellite service on their existing television sets, just needing a dish that will cost about £200. They won't need a new television set, which would be a barrier to its take-up.
British Satellite Broadcasting was the official franchise choice for 3 channels on British-owned satellites. But they're not starting till autumn 1989, months after Mr. Murdoch, who hopes by then to be well on the way to his targeted million sales in the first year.
I think it's highly unlikely that he'll put 1 million out into the market in year 1, and for 2 real reasons. First of all, his receiver equipment, in my opinion, is very expensive, and I don't think his programming is all that good.
How can you convince the public that your programmes will be better than Rupert Murdoch's?
Mainly because they are going to be better. If I take the film channel, ours is a subscription channel, 250 new movies every year. His is a free movie channel. They'll be as old as the hills and older than ITV and BBC. Take sport, we've got the football deal. We're going to have a sports channel of total excellence. Take news, he's going to aim at Europe for news, and international news. Ours is going to be UK news, aimed at the UK market. I think we'll win on every count.
Whoever wins the battle for satellite viewers, how much medium-term effect will the new age of broadcasting have on the existing BBC and ITV networks?